Hello, I'm Deborah Malone, founder of The Internationalist and host of Internationalist Marketing TV. Today's guest is Rahul Malhotra, head of Group Brand Strategy and Stewardship at Shell. Rahul, again, it's always a pleasure to see you, whatever time it might be during the day. And welcome to the show. I'm looking forward to a very different conversation.
Thank you so much, Deborah, and good morning.
Yes, and good evening to you on the other side of the world. Well, let's begin um, by maybe stating something very obvious, but it seems that AI is certainly one of the most discussed issues in marketing and advertising now. However, you've been doing a lot more than discussing it because you've worked to help the Shell teams worldwide have better access to so many of the company's extraordinary creative assets through AI tools. So, before we start talking about those examples, which are very rich examples, tell us a little about the history of AI at Shell.
In my personal opinion, Deborah, I think Shell identified the potential of AI quite early. We started the journey years ago and we are benefiting now. Uh, I found out later that we had been hiring dozens of AI engineers at a corporate level many years before AI even became a buzzword in the external world. Already, there are dozens of use cases where AI is helping us in many, many ways, especially in our operations, optimizing energy use, demand planning, inventory management, or even helping us identify potential risks in physical locations like who's smoking at a retail site, right? Um, Secondly, within marketing, we had already started to leverage automation, digitization, and simple AI in our marketing operations years ago in our efforts to, drive simplification, performance, more discipline. So that's really a bit of the history.
Well, that's extensive, and I'm not surprised that an engineering-driven company has espoused it so early. Of course, the transition to marketing, and particularly marketing now, with what AI can do, with language and images and so on, is very different, and I think that's been the big jump. So let's start with something that you call the Shell Vision Machine. Okay, and we know that the Shell brand is one of the most valuable. The company follows a very single brand strategy in about 50 markets that use the trademark. How did this initiative work in terms of implementing AI, and then maybe more importantly, how did it benefit the local markets?
Sure. I think as the head of brand stewardship, it's really important that I put this in context. The brand that, I'm responsible for, along with my tens of thousands of colleagues, it's valued at over $50 billion. It's 125 years old. It's one of the 23 most valuable brands in the world, and the brand value has gone up 75% in the last 7 years. And so, as you rightly said, we follow a single brand strategy across dozens and dozens of countries. So, we have 3,000 or more empowered frontline marketers, whether this is company employees, licensee marketing teams, dealer marketing teams. And then they have 3,000 or more agency partners in 50 markets using this single brand. So, as the head of brand stewardship, it was really important for me to empower them and yet protect brand standards with such a large user base. And so, even before I joined, my predecessors had put together this very powerful central approval process called Ask Brand, which is quite old now. This is a team of offshore design experts who turn around responses, approvals for campaigns, internal or external, in about 20 and a half hours on average. Now, if you're a country marketer sending branded campaigns to this black box, this central team for approval slows down launch, especially if you're new to the company, you didn't realize certain things were needed. This leads to back and forth and sometimes even higher agency costs for rework. A large part of the conversations are often on very simple design things that the Ask Brand design experts also may not, get the most satisfaction engaging on dozens of times a day. So this initiative, Shell Machine Vision, was one of several AI and automation initiatives which were part of something called Brand Operations 2.0, which came from deep understanding, using data analysis, qualitative interviews, quantitative feedback, and even UX UI observation, where our experts were watching end users go through the user journey on our web portals and so on. And several pain points were identified, including compliance gaps. And so, sponsored by the brand leadership, we put together the expert team, of what we called the brand ops experts, right? This was cross functional. They were asked to strategically design and deliver various work streams. Part of this team was the in house AI specialist team. They customized and designed Shell Machine Vision together with the brand subject matter experts. Now, this is AI technology that has already been used widely in manufacturing and assembly lines. So we taught the AI to pick up visually simple things like, is that the wrong font? Is that the wrong logo? And let the users know within seconds instead of waiting for 20 hours, right? So immediately you could tell them some of the basics that were wrong. And also AI even filled up some of the forms that used to be done manually in the past by the offshore team. And so it was saving us, several minutes per campaign or per asset, and saving the user time as well. So after a few weeks of pilot, we realized that accuracy had already reached 90%. And we actually have now had it in place for more than 1 year. And so now we are continuing to expand the potential of what else can AI check for us, right? Can I check for accessibility? Can I check for colors? And Gen AI is going to follow as well. So your question was on outcome metrics. So I'd say four things. Number one, the end-to-end asset creation process has been cut by days, if not weeks in some cases. The percentage of assets being sent by the markets coming for approval and sharing has gone up dramatically. It improves compliance. Three, design team morale is very high because the repetitive work has been eliminated, roles are more meaningful. And a lot of the agency rework costs, costs of approval teams have both come down. And the team, we are very happy, has won both internal and external awards for this overall piece of work.
No, that's amazing. It's amazing because it shows how it affects both the efficiency, the cost of work, but the morale of people. And I think that
Yeah,
that's wonderful. Let me just clarify. It is Shell Machine Vision. I think I might
that's right.
have got the order wrong. I'm so excited about the visual aspects of AI and marketing. So again, it's Shell Machine Vision, and this has been the evolution from some of the other things that you've done. And now that you have a new logo and it's in the background, probably it'll be able to pick up even more, or be trained to pick up even more visual cues that are working properly. Well, now that we've talked a little bit about the great work with Shell Machine Vision, what about Shell Creative Hub? Can you tell us about that? Because from what I understand, that was a massive task. And
Yeah,
I'm curious about how you gauge success on so massive a task.
absolutely. So we've always had a digital, library, a dam, right? So over the decades, marketers and agencies have created thousands of campaigns, icons, illustrations, photography, videos, imagery, internal use, external use, hundreds of sub brands under Shell. Now, all of this was stored on this platform called, or is stored on Shell Creative Hub, which is supposed to encourage reuse so that we can save time to market, save cost, save carbon footprint of shooting the same kind of assets again, like pack shots, generic scenery shots, illustrations, icons. But downloads of assets was not as high because end users, when they're uploading it, they don't tag it properly because it's a lot of work, it's manual. So, in addition, for videos, nobody really has the time to sit through hundreds of videos in an editing studio to find the footage that you need. And that's the human reality, right? So the first step that we did was we identified an external AI crawler that could scan through these tens of thousands of images and find the images that people were looking for. You could take a picture from Google, put the link on that platform, or put the image itself on the platform, and it'll find you something that looks like that, which is licensed, free to use, and from our library, instead of paying royalties or going out and shooting a new one. So we've launched this successfully as well. It's been more than a year. We are now working on a video crawler that'll help identify footage from these thousands of digitized videos that we have. And that'll be a massive cost and carbon footprint reduction as well. On this one, on AI crawler, just for images, the metrics that we've been measuring, the downloads from Creative Hub are up 4 times, versus earlier. In only 6 months of launch, the speed to market has gone up dramatically because you don't need to shoot anymore. You don't need to, commission production, just reuse. Costs are obviously dramatically lower, already in the millions, due to the savings from, rework. And again, the team is really energized, and it's giving a lot of incentive, something that we must understand, that when you have wins like this, it drives innovation to a multiple level, right? So everyone's now trying to see, how else can I go 10x, right?
No, I think the whole element of driving innovation is talk about, human reality. That's something that keeps everyone energized, and it's also so much in character with the whole brand DNA of Shell itself. So I mean, kudos to you for being a champion for so much of this. But that's not all. I mean, I feel like the examples keep coming. Now, you've also launched something called Shell Artwork Builder. Is that correct? Could you explain maybe how that's different from Creative Hub?
So the artwork builder was created as a way to eliminate some of the uh, assets that are very repetitive in nature in terms of production, right? So it's a template tool, no different from many of the others that some of the companies are aware of. Just to give you an idea, these 6,000 end users in 50 markets I mentioned, they develop 40 to 50,000 branded assets for us worldwide. Now, this adds significant non-working marketing spend to our OpEx, not to mention the time lost in developing campaigns, assets, carbon footprint of marketing production. So at an average unit production cost of a few $100s per asset, depending on the country, we're looking at tens of millions of dollars in spend conservatively, right? Now, in this case, for the simple stuff, which is not massive campaigns, marketers did not feel capable of creating graphics on their own, even if there was a creative hub available, right? Also, a lot of the non-marketing functions create a lot of these branded assets, which are very simple: an internal comms poster about a Christmas carol,
Mhm.
recruitment teams at universities and a poster or something, or B2B technical worldwide, or for a brochure. These are simple A4 sort of, layouts with colors and graphics and logos and text, and they would get it wrong if they did it on their own on the desktop with wrong logos, colors, fonts, because they're not marketers, and it would be too expensive if you go to an agency, right? So we decided to templatize this, this a large chunk of this 50,000, right? So an external survey was done. We looked at various sort of platforms, and we negotiated through our procurement team with the chosen platform, and then we skinned it. We call it Shell Artwork Builder, and it's completely integrated into our Brand Central website. Hundreds of templates were created with the key user groups. We linked it with the Shell Creative Hubs where users could, drag and drop imagery and logos from there. Then, very importantly, these assets and these templates were designed and designated as pre-approved. So, there was no need for internal approvals for a large part of it, unless you had very specific claims and things to get approval on. So obviously cost improved, speed to market, carbon footprint. And again, if you now look at the metrics, we have thousands of users who are regularly on a monthly basis using the Shell Artwork Builder, talking about it to their colleagues. Thousands of assets have been produced for free. It's about 3 minutes on average. Now, basically, you compare that to the weeks it can take with an external partner. Compliance has gone up dramatically. It's 99.9%. So even if we are not approving, we can do dipsticks to see how things are going. And time to market has come down dramatically from weeks to minutes. So now we are going to take it to the next level. So instead of just an artwork builder, we're going to call it the creative builder. Now, can we make our own films like iMovies? Can we make GIFs? Can we make other simple stuff, that you can use particularly for internal presentations or simple uses which are not, as I said, massive campaigns for which we still need our creative partners.
Well, it's extraordinary, but I think it's extraordinary given the volume of images
Yeah.
that a global company like Shell produces, and how it would be impossible for human beings to touch all of it and manage it and so on. So it sounds like that so far AI's overall benefits have, of course, been greater efficiency and faster results, and as you mentioned, even helping with the whole carbon footprint. And you've also suggested that it's freeing up people for more valuable roles as opposed to filling out forms or more rote activities or waiting for approvals. So am I correct that this has not caused Shell to reduce any staff, or that's always been the worry that people talk about? I'm just curious, is with all this good, is there some negative on the horizon? I don't know.
Honestly, I think the type of work is changing. It's becoming more meaningful. And even our agency partners, they're all starting to use their own versions of AI, which is an encouraging sign too, right? And I think what we are seeing is more meaningful work, more identification of waste, more creative conversations around brand personality instead of the logo of a campaign, right? So I think those are the conversations that add more meaning to work for a marketing team.
And I think that meeting is one of the issues coming out of COVID that has really changed the entire workplace. So that it's very interesting that you do choose that word. But again, given who you are, that doesn't surprise me either. Here, how about some advice now? I mean, you are a massive global company with such a long history. Um, a lo- what's your advice? Many marketers are really unsure where to begin in terms of harnessing AI's efficiency, and they may not have the wealth of assets that you do. Where would you tell them to start?
Sure. I think first I want to say that this whole program hardly cost us too much, money because it was all about looking at off the shelf stuff that we could bring in and skin and reuse and find a way to sort of do it in a phased manner, proving the case for the any investment that we had. So if I was a small company, what I would say is first, on one side, identify your biggest pain point, your biggest cost, frustration in marketing today. It's almost like a wish list. And then find out what other companies are starting to do in that space. Have coffee with your counterpart in another company. What technologies might be available? Google it. When you look for specific solutions for a pain point, no different from a physical pain when we're going online, the solutions show themselves faster, but more importantly, people have a greater desire to act on it, learn, get going. And so start small, but with a big challenge, and then progress from there.
I love that, small with a big challenge. But I'm just, curious, you know, because some of the biggest brands have been experimenting with AI for a while, or at least recognizing AI's potential in a number of areas, obviously not just marketing, operations and many of the areas that you suggested. Does this give them a sustainable advantage, or can any company of any size really start to harness that power?
My personal point of view, Deborah, is that AI is democratizing the playing field. It's not too expensive to use many of these AI tools these days. It allows many small and medium enterprises to scale up their marketing in ways that were unimaginable a few years ago. I mean, my wife runs her own psychotherapy business, as she uses a version of the artwork builder available publicly to create her Instagram posts. And then she uses ChatGPT to write the first draft of her blogs for LinkedIn or, blogs for the website. It's changed the game for her as well, right? So I think it's only an upside.
No, I think that one of the things, if you are a small business owner, generally your strength is in a particular area, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a natural writer or marketer or anything else, because you focus so much on your,
Yeah.
individual discipline. And I think that it can be useful. I think you obviously have to edit it, because sometimes it gets some specifics wrong at this point. But you make a very good point about big and small. Let's put it that way. So what's next? What's next in terms of Shell's use of AI for its brand, and your opinion about what's next for AI in general?
I think some of the examples I've talked about, right? So Creative Hub, for example, we'll be able to search better, faster. Artwork Builder, we'll move it to films and GIFs and other stuff. Machine vision will start, picking up new things. Um, Gen AI is coming in a very big way, and we are working on that very significant, with very significant sort of focus. Because forget templates, this can generate stuff for you, right? So I think that is what I'm really, really excited about. Now, what's happening with the industry is it's growing by leaps and bounds. As you know, in a year's time, there will be high quality video makers. There will be higher quality image generation. There will be music composing AI. They'll have script writers for all sorts of applications, right? A speech by a leadership team member, a blog, or even a legal contract with an agency or an external vendor. Um, However, in my view, I think there's something to be said for a marketer's intuition on how to apply AI. And that comes from all of us professionals, right? AI is only as effective as the data fed into it. And I think this is where the human machine partnership will, will be really critical for those who succeed with this technology in the next couple of years and those who fail, right?
I like that you're saying it is a human and machine partnership, and I hope that remains an interesting equal partnership, and maybe with a little bit more side to the humans. But it's always wonderfully refreshing to talk to you, because you can take very complex subjects, and you can make them so relatable, and you can also inspire people to realize that you can do them step by step, and it can make a difference. So I sincerely thank you for sharing that knowledge, but also for sharing that experience, because I know that it doesn't always go smoothly, and it doesn't always go point A to B, but you've always been very candid about how you make things work. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Thank you for the time.
Well, I look forward to our next conversation, and I have a feeling that I don't even know what it'll be about.
We'll see. We'll see.
All
The
right.
world is moving really fast.
Isn't it though?
Take care.
Thank
Yes.
thank you so much. Take care. All right. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye. The Internationalist focuses on the continual reinvention of marketing by highlighting inspirational marketers around the world and their ideas as they move the industry forward. Internationalist Marketing TV shares these perspectives through interviews and personal stories. Thanks so much for watching. If you find this kind of content helpful, please click like or subscribe. Again, thanks so much.